Alrighty, well hey guys, what is up? Mr. Adam here, and today I'm coming at you with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about my main experiences that I did have when I attended VidCon. And of course I'll be giving a little bit sort of tips if you guys will be attending VidCon yourselves either next year or in the upcoming years. When they do of course continue it, it's kind of like an already annual tradition at this point. And towards the end of the video, if you guys are still around towards the end of the video, I do got a special announcement. But without further ado, I just wanted to go ahead and get started about talking about my experiences. First thing is foremost is that just as a basic overview, it was a really great experience, and I was really grateful that I was able to attend this year. I did buy my ticket back in February, so of course it was a little bit cheaper. And of course I did travel by train, and even though that was a little bit weird, especially taking a full day just for traveling, it was still a nice experience, still a nostalgic trip that I was able to use the train and go back to California, because I did visit back when I was just a wee youngster and I wasn't able to go ahead and visit back until of course today, or not today of course, but of course for VidCon. And of course, I was accompanied by my mother. She wanted to go ahead and see her family over in California. We do have family over in California, and of course, I extend my gratitude for them that I was able to stay with them. Nice home for, of course, the nights while I was going to VidCon. But first, for the experiences at VidCon, I went ahead and attended VidCon 2018, the 9th annual VidCon, I guess, if I want to go ahead and reiterate that. I did visit as a creator, so I do have my badge here. I went ahead and kept, well, of course I'm going to keep it for a souvenir, but I do have the purple creator badge here. I do have it here, Mr. Adam. I do have my gaming channel, but I just wanted to go ahead, and since when you kind of hear about VidCon, you see more of the personalities, like you know about vloggers, you know about Dodie Clark, Shane Dawson, Lisa Koshy, like all that type of stuff. So I just decided to go ahead and use my personal channel, which is of course Mr. Adam, and I just wanted to go ahead and you know, just keep it for a sec. So I'll go ahead. This will probably be a thumbnail. But yes, it was a pretty nice experience to be going as a creator. Luckily, I was able, with the creator pass, of course, you were able to not only get what the community the community pass gets, but the only thing that you don't get, of course, with the creator pass is the meet and greet lottery system, which I was fine with. I didn't kind of want to do that meet and greet system. With the creator one, I was more fortunate that I was able to get it, and of course I was able to take part in all the classes that they did have. They did have some extra classes, panels, keynotes, you know, pretty cool stuff like that I really did enjoy. And you know, it was a fun experience that I was able to use to hopefully in the future make better videos as soon as I start, you know, learning and getting you know, a little bit of the better equipment. But it was still nice to learn. Did meet a little bit of the creators that I wanted to go ahead and meet for a long time, that inspired me so much. And I guess this is where I can go ahead and start for the first tip, pretty early before I do get in the tips. But I guess one of the main things that I can go ahead and talk about is getting yourself a little booklet. I know some other YouTubers take around like a little booklet or something. This is my personal adventure book. I went ahead and just got it at Walgreens, and so far documenting a few adventures, and I was able to get, I was probably showing this weird, but I was able to get some autographs, so really grateful for meeting all the creators. And if any creators do see this that I did meet, thank you so much. Sorry if I was a little bit starstruck, and my hand is weird. I need to stop shaking. That's just a personal thing that I'm still working on, of course, but it was still amazing to meet all my creators, and thank you again so much for your autograph, and of course for the selfie. I'll go ahead and try to pop them up now. But continuing with the experiences portion, it was a really refreshing change to go ahead. They did have much to do, even if you're going to see creators or just attending the convention itself. They did have a lot of community tracks, panels where you can just go ahead and see your favorite creator talk about like if I remember correctly, one panel that I did attend was the animation one, and of course, let's talk about mental health. And of course, for the one for gaming, of course, gaming 101, if I remember correctly. And that was still a pretty cool experience. I'm gonna keep saying experience a lot throughout this video. I'm sorry. But it was still pretty cool to see all of that sort of stuff. Of course, when you're at the expo hall, that's where they have every main booth and company trying to advertise their stuff. I do have a video coming out later about all the swag that I did obtain at VidCon, and you should see it here on the channel in the upcoming days. So if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button to go ahead and see that video. But basically, as I mentioned right now, Expo Hall, there's a lot that you can do. Personally, I went to like the X booth, the HyperX booth that they did have there. Of course, they do have the YouTubers merch and all that, like they had Dan and Phil, the Odd Ones Out, James, Good Mythical Morning, Jaden Animations booth. You know, that was still pretty cool to see. I didn't really buy too much, but it was still nice to go ahead, walk around, see what the convention had to offer, and of course, you know, gain that experience that I could go ahead and use for the future. Kind of don't know what else to say other than that. Still grateful that I was able to go. Still awesome that I was able to see creators. And honestly, I guess I'll just go ahead and move on to the tips. Alrighty, so one of the first few tips that I wanted to go ahead and give if you are attending VidCon in the future is basically just go with a buddy or with a friend. This year I kind of just, it was kind of almost like an impulse decision, so I kind of just bought the ticket for myself, and of course I was planning to travel myself, just going to California, but of course my mom did accompany me, but she was just there with family while I was mainly at the convention. And basically I would just recommend that you be with a buddy system. This year they did have added security at the event, which is pretty cool to see. Like everywhere you go, it was just security there, security here, and it was nice to know that that feeling of safety safety was their #1 priority in the convention. I know that last year they had a certain somebody mess up, I guess, overpopulating the area and like rushing around. So luckily they did have that added security, and honestly it went off without a hunch. Luckily everything was okay. Everyone had good times, I'm guessing. And you know, I would just recommend bringing a buddy or a friend, just so you can go ahead and have that safe explore together, make some memories, of course. Of course, going alone, it was still fine if you guys want to go ahead and go alone. I did meet a couple of people there, which was honestly one of the greatest things. Being an introvert, you really can't express yourself out there, but it was still pretty awesome to go ahead and just like meet new people, and of course just walking around, and I guess a little bit of socializing, whether you be standing in line or just walking around. Still a pretty awesome feeling. One of the second tips I wanted to go ahead and give is just bring a bag that is light as possible. If you guys are planning to go ahead and take some stuff, of course if you want to go ahead and bring some stuff with you, then I recommend just getting a light bag that you'll be having on your shoulders for the majority of time. For me, I did have a drawstring bag, and in it I had a little battery pack, so of course I was just able to connect my phone anytime I was like running low on power, and it was pretty cool. I didn't carry too much. I just had my spectacles case, of course the adventure book, some books on me in case if I did get bored, and of course it was my battery packs and stuff like that. And what I wanted to reiterate, of course, if you don't put too much in it, of course, if you're going to be walking around the convention for a long amount of time, which is what I did, sometimes that puts that little bit of a strain on your shoulders. So if you travel or walk around as light as possible, by the time at the end of the convention, at the end of the day, you'll be able just to take your stuff and just go ahead and go back to your hotel or wherever you're staying at. And I guess for as a little bit of a 2.5 tip, make sure you, if you are going to VidCon, try to stay in the local area as possible. I know for some people it's going to be a little bit difficult, because as soon as VidCon is announced, the prices for the hotels and everything just skyrocket. Luckily, I was able to stay, as I mentioned earlier, I was able to stay with a family member, so I didn't have to put too much cost into a hotel. But one of the things is that I was noticing that I was getting like quite a few things, and it would have been nice just to go ahead and either go to my car and be able to put stuff inside, or go to back to a hotel or somewhere close by and be able to leave my stuff and going back just like with a fresh anything in case if I do get any more stuff basically. So that's another little bit of a tip. If you do got a family member, of course you can ask them nicely if you can go ahead and just hold an extra bag for all the stuff that if you do start getting stuff. Because of course not only is there tons and tons of free merch that you can get, they're also going to be selling stuff, of course, the Canon booth, and of course the YouTuber merch. In case if you guys do buy any of that stuff, you want to go ahead and have a little bit of extra room for taking that stuff with you at the end of the day. Moving on to tip 3 is basically what I wanted to talk about for tip 3, if I can go ahead and jog my memory again because I'm just keep talking, is dividing up the activities into those days. So what basically I did, of course VidCon is 4 days. It was from June the 20th all the way to the 23rd, if I remember, 20, 21, 22, 23, yeah. 4 days, 20th to the 23rd, 4 days of activities of whatever you want to go ahead and do at panels, expo halls and stuff like that. One of the things that I did was divide everything up into those days. So of course, the first thing I did on the 20th was of course pick up my badge. The 20th seems like just the day where you kind of just pick up stuff. They really didn't, I guess, have much of the panels and the events and such. Of course, I think the expo hall was open. I didn't get to explore too much. I just got my badge, was able to walk around just to get a feel for the area, and of course went back home to relax until the next day because I did kind of arrive in LA and of course Anaheim late because of the train. I divided my days up in on all the activities that I was going to be doing. So if I continue on the 21st, that was a day mainly I just walked around the convention area. I was just walking around, looking at all the booths, looking at all the on-stage events that they did have, getting a feel inside the expo hall area, of course seeing where everything, the layout and such, and just so I could get a feel. There is a few things here and there that you could probably go ahead and go to, but I kind of just stayed in the expo hall. I think I went to maybe like one track and then of course one panel, but that's really much it. I didn't do too much of the anything else that they had to offer, and it was still pretty fun. I was able to see a lot of conventions, see a lot of people on stage, and of course one of the first people that I did meet was Rebecca Parham from Let Me Explain Studios, and it was real awesome meeting her. I was a little bit of starstruck, so honestly, you never know. Like sometimes your favorite creator could just be walking around. I did hear that this year many feature creators didn't get really a chance to walk around other than one or two, and to me that's kind of like a little bit weird. But I guess it's kind of, you know, being in that industry. But it was still pretty cool just to be able to explore around. And of course, moving on to the second day, which was the 22nd, that's when I started doing half and half of the expo, exploring the expo, because of course everything's still going to be mostly the same, but of course they're going to have more activities, more stuff, maybe even more stuff to give out, more stuff to do, of course. And the second half was finally doing more panels and keynotes. If I remember correctly, that's when I attended the mental health panel. Really nice seeing. I know there was a couple of people on there, and if I'm sorry if I don't remember it right now, but I do remember is that I went ahead and saw Jaden Animations and of course Katie Morton on the panel, and it was really nice to be talking about, of course, mental health. A lot of people do struggle with it. I do struggle with it myself, and it was just a nice little panel to go ahead and, you know, talk about everything, and, you know, just some tips for, of course, doing it in the future, or tips with dealing with mental health in the future. After that, if I remember correctly, of course it was just, if I remember correctly, Mostly in the morning was the expo, and then the rest of the afternoon was kind of a little bit of keynotes and the expo hall, and of course like lunch and dinner break. And that was mainly it. And then I returned home, and we move on to the next day. What a weird transition. And finally, for the last day, for the 23rd, that's when I was all booked up for doing booth, or not booth. That's when I was all booked up for visiting all the different kinds of panels and keynotes that they have. I visited the gaming panel. We did have a creator chat. I was fortunate enough to be a part of the creator chat. I went ahead and almost talked with a bunch of other creators. Together we were at a table and we talked around with Binging with Babish, or Andrew Rea. And it was still pretty cool experience for meeting him. He does, of course, if you guys haven't already heard of him, he does run the channel Binging with Babish, and he makes a lot of really good food from a lot of TV shows and movies. And it was nice getting to talk to him. Of course, being in the, of course, the YouTube industry. Of course, learning about some of the, but it was still really nice seeing him. I'm really grateful that I was able to meet him, of course. And it was just a bunch of panels throughout the day. Like if I remember correctly, there was the gaming. They did have some more on-stage performances. Casey and Neistat interview. Of course, it was a little bit later, but that was still pretty cool. And one of the things that I just wanted to mention is that I wasn't really there much towards the afternoon or in the evening. If I do remember correctly, for most of the days, I kind of just left at around 7 o'clock in the afternoon. They do close the expo hall, if I remember correctly, at 6:30. But then they still have, of course, more of the activities outside. They have the YouTube arena and the Awesomeness TV live stage, where you can go ahead and see some of your favorite online personalities go ahead and play live. If I do remember correctly, I think it was Tessa Violet and Dodie that they were able to play, and I think also as Markiplier. I didn't really stay too much for the afternoon because I knew traveling almost at night in California was going to be a little bit iffy for me, so of course I did leave early while there was still daytime, which is still fine. But of course you just always want to go ahead and just be safe. Go ahead and put that as 3.5. Just make sure you're aware of all your surroundings, be safe. There is a lot of people and a lot of security, so luckily there's that added bonus of feeling that safety in the area. Yeah, you don't have to really stay for the whole time. Hopefully hopefully if I do get to attend next year, I want to be able to stay for the afternoon, watch the concerts, go to the export hall, do a lot more, or see a lot more panels and keynotes. So that's really it that I have for all the tips. And of course, dividing up, that was the last tip, dividing up your days so you can make sure you get the whole experience of VidCon. But other than that, I just wanted to go ahead and reiterate that it was a very nice experience. There's so much to do there. Of course, if you are planning to go in, just if you do take those tips in mind, and of course, almost from my last video, just go ahead and have fun. There's plenty to do at VidCon, and you'll have fun nonetheless, whether it's doing your best to meet some online creators, going to the expo hall and playing with all the stuff that they have, or just learning more about the online industry. There's still so much to do at VidCon. So really grateful to go, and honestly, that'll be it for today's video. The last thing I wanted to go ahead and end off is that I will be doing a giveaway when I do hit 100 subscribers. One of the things I did want to give away is a little bit. And lastly, for the announcement, I just wanted to go ahead and announce that I'll be proudly attending the 10th annual VidCon in 2019. They haven't really announced the dates yet, but it's usually at around August or September that they usually announce, and they have the early ticket sales and stuff like that. So I'm really grateful that I was able to attend this year, and I will be doing my best to work hard, still make content for you guys, and of course raising monies to be able to attend VidCon again, because for sure I want to be able to go ahead and attend the convention again. And take it from me, this was my very first time at VidCon, and I enjoyed it so much that I just want to be able to go again. Like, that was a really nice experience for me, seeing all the creators seeing all the panels and keynotes, and just socializing with everyone. Even being as an introvert, it's a pretty cool experience just going there and just making the most of it and having fun. So I am grateful for this year, and hopefully I'll be there attending next year and be doing even more stuff. So hopefully, and of course they're going to be switching out everything, so hopefully there is more stuff to experience next year. Anyway guys, that's going to be it for today's video. Sorry if I did kind of ramble on a little bit. I am doing my best to learn how to edit mostly the good bits, and of course still talking to you guys, talking on camera and getting my point across. But mainly that'll be it for today's videos. I want to thank you guys for watching again. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like. If you do want to go ahead and leave a comment down below to see what else you want me to go ahead and discuss about VidCon or anything else. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Remember to drink some water, and
but I could be a crush, like feel you for a rush, like hoping you text me so I could tell you I've been thinking about your touch, like touch, 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 touch. I could be a crush, 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 crush. I got a fascination with your presentation, making me feel